Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Axel jam si Wave.
Yo, Abla, yo luta do dede. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello? Ano lay waxal?
Bësal mu fine.
What?
Bësal mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. Ak Wave. Bësal mu fine. Wave. Your money is yours.
You're watching Coffee Time with Peter Gomez live on West Coast Radio, 92.1 on FM and www.wcr.gm. We are also on YouTube, courtesy of Jar Oil and Wave. Let's now welcome Lamin Manneh of the United Democratic Party, and I hope you will bombard us with as many questions for the party as possible. We've received one very interesting one already. We'll get to that later on. Let's welcome Lamin. Lamin, good to have you back on the program this morning.
Thank you, Peter. Always a pleasure to be back.
You were almost running late. Typical Gambia High School.
No, I was punctual. That's the Gambia High School thing.
Let's get on with it.
Good to see you again.
How are things? Things are now peaceful at UDP?
Yeah, no, they've always been peaceful.
They've not always been peaceful.
No, we had a little bit of a discussion within the family, but that happens in every family. You called a discussion
within the family. It was out there in the open.
Yeah, it spilled out a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is essentially, we brought it back into the family and, we solved the issues.
How difficult was it to bring things back into the family?
Not really difficult at all, When it happened, a lot of people were unhappy.
It looked nasty at one point. I mean, having Yankuba Darboe, with that warning, if Talib were to be picked as the presidential candidate, he would, opt out of the party. That's not a friendly thing to say, and you'd think that that's a difficult, spot to sort out.
No, it is a difficult thing, and he shouldn't have said that. We all agreed on that. But when we came back to the family and sat, we solved it very quickly. That's the thing about UDP, really, because we would have those difficult discussions. We would argue and sometimes even agree to disagree. But we always came to solutions.
Internally, that's understood, but not to let it spill out onto the open.
Right. That spilled out, and it should never have reached the audience outside. But it did.
Yeah.
And we were not happy about that. So we sat and said, hey, this shouldn't happen again.
So Yanks and Talib are back, good friends.
They are back.
Working together.
Yes, they will. And in fact...
towards 2026.
Yeah, and in fact, last week, Mr. Darboe brought all of them together again. All the heads of the local government authorities, Landing Sane, Rohi Malik Low, Talib Ahmed Bensouda, Yankuba Darboe. He brought them all together again, and they had a very long chat, and they agreed on the way forward. So these are things that happen sometimes. It shouldn't have gone out to the public. It did. But we solved it very quickly. We have one of the most charismatic leaders in the country, and he has a way with his people. And the good thing is everybody respects him very deeply. So when he called them and said, let's have a talk about this, everybody was there. And they talked about it, they put this thing behind them, and decided we'll move forward to 2026. That is the objective for this country. This country is in a bad way, so we'll have to give the people what they deserve. They are looking up to UDP to make a difference, and we will do that. So that has been settled, and we are moving forward.
So Rohi has stopped moaning about the UDP not supporting her as much as it does Talib.
Well, yeah, that is behind us, as I said. There are times people get unhappy about certain things, and there can be misinterpretations and all that stuff. But as we say, so those things happen. And sometimes, you have these things, and it's sometimes not so bad to have it come out, because then you can deal with it. and put it behind you. And as unfortunate as it was, we were able to discuss everything and put it in the past and decide to move forward. And I think that is the strength of the party. We are able to look at the things, squarely and, and tell each other some home truths when it's necessary, and we move forward. Because, there is no unicity of thought in the party. And there is nobody who is afraid to air his or her views. What we encourage is that let's air the views within the party, within these party structures, and we deal with them there. And we do that all the time. If you were to attend one of our National Executive Committee meetings or Central Committee meetings, it's very frank discussions. But at the end of the day, we come up with a solution that works for everybody. Because people air their views, so there are no recriminations, because you say what's on your mind, and we discuss it, and we find a solution. It's better that way than we keep it and, behind the scenes, you say things or do things that would affect the unity of the party. And when you have so many talented people in the party, so many strong-willed people, there will be occasional, clashes here and there. That's inevitable, and it's human nature. So we know we have to deal with that, and we deal with it inside.
And just as the UDP was having its own difficulties, the NPP had barely time to laugh at the UDP because it had its own, splits and all of that. Can you understand then why some people characterize the UDP and the NPP as 6 and 9?
No, we are not. You see, because Peter, when they had their issues, what did it end up with? The party breaking. Keba Madi Bojang has left. What we're hearing is other people might believe.
Well, if you pick Talib for the 2026 election, the UDP will break because Yankuba Darboe will walk out.
No. That won't happen. We put that behind us. That's us behind us.
Okay.
But, we have this, ability to anticipate problems and deal with them. We have solved that problem, and that's behind us. That will not happen.
The NPP cannot. They don't have that ability.
They didn't. Kebamadi and peace people who didn't have left to form their own party. And from what we're hearing, there might be other people leaving to form other parties. So, that's the thing. Because there is not that sincerity within the party, and there is almost unicity of thought being forced upon everybody. You fit in the mold or you don't. And when it happened, they just said, we'll give them an ultimatum, you don't respond to that ultimatum, we kick you out. And they did kick them out.
Well, they would say they are
would
say they are very decisive.
They could say that.
Yeah.
But we would say that they are not able to manage conflict within their ranks. And conflict is human. Change is the most permanent thing that we have, and it's difficult. People fear change. People fear having to deal with new situations.
Well, they say they would. People will argue that the UDP fears change. I mean, why are you not changing Darboe? He's been there, since the beginning.
But that's the point.
You can't say Lamin Manneh isn't capable of leading the party. Larry Sise isn't capable of leading. Even Yankuba, he believes that he is capable of leading the party, and that's why he is
right. You see, and that is the thing actually, because there is that possibility of change, and we deal with that because we do not fear looking at change and say this is not the kind of change we want. This is the other one we want. So you stay with something different, because we could all have gone our way and say, we're going to do this and we're going to do it differently. But when you have somebody who you trust, somebody who you know can deliver the goods that we want to deliver for this country, and somebody who has stood the test of time for 30 years and has shown you what he's capable of doing, and you have the confidence in that person's ability to steer this country out of these turbulent waters, man, you would be really, really ill-advised to dump somebody like that and go for the unknown. So we go for what we think is going to serve this country. None of us are sycophants. I do not believe in anybody thinking for me. I think for myself. And all of these people you mentioned, the Larry Sises, the Yankuba Darboes, Talib and Suda, Rohi Malik Low, and so many in the party. Even those ones who are not known. You have the Ismail Sises, the Lamin Taal. There are so many of them. None of these people think.
Ismail Sises, which Ismail Sises, the minister?
No, not that one. Not that one.
A bit of fun on the Monday morning.
Absolutely,
is not bad, huh?
Absolutely. But Peter, what I'm saying is we have people who don't allow anybody to think for them. We think for ourselves, and we confront ideas, and we analyze everything and go for the best. I do not need a government job. Thank God. I'm not bragging about this. I'm just being thankful to God, right? And all the people around me, they're the same thing. Peter, the Gambia government will not pay me a salary more than what I'm earning. I don't need the money. I'm not in this for the money. And so many people like that in the party. We're in this for the country. Mr. Darboe didn't need to do this job. He could have been continued to be a lawyer and earn tons of money. He dumped all of that for the country. He doesn't even need to work with his kids and grandkids. Why is this message
not sinking in with the voters?
Maybe we are not saying it enough. You see, Mr. Darboe today, his kids alone and grandkids can take care of him comfortably. He doesn't need to work. But he still has a thriving law firm. But he doesn't spend the time doing that because he's devoting his time to this country. This country is his passion. He said, I will never rest until this Gambia becomes what we need it to be. We need it to be a country where all the sons and daughters of this country, irrespective of where you're from, who you love, where you hail from, we all have a part in this country to play, and we all have rights in this country. He said, until we can assure that for every Gambian in this country, I will not rest. If God gives me good health and long life, I'll continue to fight until we establish that for the country. This is what's keeping us all together. That's the glue, the love for this country and the desire to deliver what we think the Gambia deserves.
Speaking of glue, I mean, people believe he's the only man who can keep UDP together. Once Darboe gets, out of the picture, that's it. The UDP will fragment.
That's what people tend to believe, but that's not correct. Darboe is today, yes, he's the cement, he's the glue that's keeping the party together because of the respect, enormous respect everybody has for him. And you see, that comes from integrity. Respect is something you earn, you deserve. You can't force it on people. All the people in the party who respect Mr. Darboe so much, it's not because he is, somebody special in the sense that he's not an angel, he's not a saint. He's human. He makes mistakes like everybody. But the good thing is when he makes mistakes, he accepts. And this is the man you can go to and sit with and criticize his point of view, and you discuss with him and you argue about him. I sit with Mr. Darboe. I love him and I respect him. I talk to him in a respectful way, but when I disagree, I come to him and I say, maybe you can look at this differently. And he would sit there patiently and listen to me ramble on sometimes 20 minutes.
Yeah, Gambia High School alumni are good at that. Just ramble.
There you go.
And then you will always...
I gave you that stick.
You will always have,
I gave you that
a patient here in, St. Augustine's High School.
A St. Augustine's guy who was polished in Gambia High School.
A short while back, you named names, the Talib Bensoudas, the Yankuba Darbos, the Rohi Malik Lows, Larry Cises, and... Where is Almamy Taal?
Almamy is around. He's around.
Still with the UDP?
Sure.
Why is he so quiet?
Yesterday he was with us in National Executive Committee meeting.
Has he been muzzled?
No.
A spokesperson, he should be being heard all the time.
Yeah. But what he needs to say sometimes are said by other people, and he's doing other things. Like yesterday he presented for us a very important document for the party. He was working on that behind the scenes. So he presented to National Executive Committee. He's doing a lot of work behind the scenes.
Because a lot of people are rumoring that, he might be considering, decamping to the National People's Party.
That's wishful thinking by those who want to see the
You're
UDP
saying
break up.
It won't happen with Almamy Taal?
No. Almamy? No way. Almamy is...
You sure?
Very sure. I mean, if Almamy were to decide to go, that will be the surprise of the century for me. But knowing Almamy, no, he's going nowhere. Almamy is a very principled person and very determined to achieve what he wants to achieve for this country. He didn't need to be in the UDP if he didn't want to. He could have a thriving law business. He could be in the judiciary. He could be anywhere. He could look for international appointment. He could go anywhere. But again, like all the people I mentioned, he decided to sacrifice all of that for his country and for a party which he believes can achieve those things for the country. He doesn't need to be in the UDP, but he decided to be there, and I say to him, bravo, my friend, that's the way to go, because this country needs all of its sons and daughters to take it where we need to go.
And people say the UDP needs more than UDP to win in 2026. In other words, you have to coalesce with other parties, movements, alliances, political groups. Has work started in that regard?
Yes, work has started, but slight correction. UDP can and will win in 2026. But what we want to see, we want to have a coalition of Gambians from every sector and from most political parties in the opposition.
Yeah, you will
so
win,
that we win together,
you
win
will win
bigger.
at the head of a coalition.
We win bigger, and because when we win, we will not be able to run this country just with UDP people, and we must not. We need to bring in every competent Gambian who has something to offer, who has integrity, who has love for this country. You see, when Nelson Mandela became president of South Africa, and they went for the parliamentary elections, and ANC was gunning for the supermajority, and they lost the supermajority by, I think, 2%. He said, I'm glad we did not have that supermajority. Because if we did, we would have been uncompromising. We would have been throwing our weight all over the place. But with this, we will have to discuss and have agreements with other people and other parties and get a compromise. Compromise is always important in anything in life, particularly in politics. You cannot have it all your way. There will be sometimes say, I can live with this, and you go for that. You see, if we have too much power, we will use it, and we'll use it against people. Not for people, against people most of the time.
I'm glad you're realizing that. But you people criticize Adama Barrow for going into an alliance with the APRC and all these other parties, but especially APRC. Why criticize him?
No, it's not because of the alliance with the APRC. What we are criticizing is alliance with strange bedfellows. APRC...
In politics, I hear there are no scruples.
There should be, because that is a very opportunistic stance, and that is a way to make sure that all we do is rip off the people, and anything goes. It's what matters is the end result, not the means or whatever. No, that's not correct. That is very, very wrong. APRC of Jammeh is what got us into this situation. That is the party that was supporting a dictator, an autocrat who would ruin this country and the people, who killed, maimed, disappeared, etc. And we fought against that to get a change for that. And you come back with that same party, and then you start doing exactly the same thing that Jammeh was doing. And you recycle the people who enabled Jammeh. That is what we are criticizing. Look around Barrow today. Who are there? It's the APRC. But the APRC NATO alliance is different. It's out there.
Who are those people from the APRC?
Look at his government. The guy he just promoted as Minister of Foreign Affairs was an APRC guy. The one he replaced, Tangara, was an APRC guy. The finance minister he had at the time, Mamburenja, is APRC.
Yeah, but he's out of the picture.
He's back in. He's going to Saudi Arabia as ambassador.
Okay.
Sidi Njai is APRC. Babakar Tombonjata is APRC. These are number 3 in the government. You know, so you can name so many of them. They are all there. The chief of protocol was the chief of protocol for Jammeh. You know, the minister of presidential affairs.
Well, that's an apolitical position. I mean, if I were chief of protocol, I could protocol Darboe 1 minute. He loses an election, somebody else comes, I continue protocoling.
It should be. We saw Bruno Diatta in Dakar.
in Senegal.
Bruno Diatta was a very consummate professional, and he did exactly the right things, and he served under 4 presidents.
Well, we could say Alhaji Cisse is the same.
No. Peter, you and I know what's happening around there.
I know nothing.
Okay. So you know, you see, it's the same people. You see, that's why people talk of system change. We have to change the systems, because these systems are built around certain things. You control the administration, particularly the upper echelons of the administration, and you will recycle the same people and have the same control at that level. You have at the political level, you recycle the same political cronies all the time, so you keep the same privileges for the same people, right? And then you have some people at the security forces who will bolster the whole thing, and if you can control the legislative, you're fine. But to compound it all, most of the time you have, even in the judiciary, people who have been promoted by a system, an autocracy or a plutocracy, as we are seeing surfacing in the Gambia today. You have those people who are being promoted into key positions in the judiciary and who would stay loyal to that same system. And it's a lot more difficult to get rid of people in the judiciary than elsewhere. So you could have the same systems happening. Look at what's happening in Senegal today. Look at what's happening in the U.S. with the Trump administration and the Supreme Court.
How is that relevant to what is going on here?
It's relevant in the sense that if you have a judiciary that is not willing to be independent, to do the things they're supposed to do, you can get into trouble.
Yep.
Today, when you have in the Gambian judiciary, every single case is assigned from the Chief Justice's office. That's not right. You have a huge backlog, and to a point where you are not able to deal with all of the cases, and you have to go for alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. And people have their cases pending for years in court before they can get any decision. Justice delayed is justice denied.
You hear that?
So all of these things are happening, which requires a system change. And Barrow is maintaining that system because it serves Jammeh and is serving him today.